All right. Happy Saturday, everyone. You know, today has been, I have to say, exceptionally beautiful. I mean, not too hot, not too chilly. It seems like we kind of went from winter a little bit straight to summer, right? AC, it was like a last week or 2 weeks ago, it was heater. Now we're like doing AC. No, we don't get to open the window and get any spring breeze at all. Happy Saturday, everyone. Thank you for joining us on Caribbean Diaspora Vibes. We are so thankful to be able to just showcase with you, especially this month, um, Women's History Month. We know that, you know, girl power is always in effect, but this month, it's all about the women, it's all about trailblazers. And we've got several trailblazers to share with you today. I want to thank you for joining. I see Dr. Bavon Dabrio, my co-host, is on. Dr. Arlene Adams is on from Caribbean American Diaspora and women of culture. We've got a mixture of people that are on. We're also waiting for Lois Witter with Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network, but we will be streaming. We are streaming right now on Caribbean American Diaspora, and we will be streaming on Caribbean Rhythms Radio on Facebook. All right, so thank you, everyone. My name is Donna Morton-Morgan, and I'm the president of Caribbean American Diaspora Alliance, president of Women of Culture Incorporated, and real estate broker of Florida Summer Homes Realty. We want to get started right away because everybody's got hot dates and all this stuff to go to. The world is open again, right? So we want to start off our evening by just recognizing Dr. Edna Jones Miller as a trailblazer. And we want Dr. Edna Jones to tell us a little bit about her journey and how she ended up as the dean, student affairs for the Valencia College downtown campus. So please, Dr. Edna, please tell us a little bit about you.
Very good. Well, good evening, everybody. I am just elated and absolutely honored and so appreciative for this opportunity to join such an esteemed panel, might I say. So thank you to President Donna Morton-Morgan and the Caribbean Diaspora. Certainly honored to be here. And so as Donna has mentioned, I am currently the Dean of Students at the Valencia College downtown campus. And my journey, I don't know that it's very exciting, but I've always been a very driven individual. And so I guess I can go back to high school where I graduated in 3 years at the age of 16. And then I went to the University of South Florida for my bachelor's, master's, and PhD programs. I graduated from college at the age of 20 as what was called the most outstanding senior by the Alumni Association at that time, which is the only award that was awarded to one person, who was me, at the time of over thousands of graduates in my class. And then, as I mentioned, graduated with my master's and PhD from USF. I worked for a couple years in Tampa at a few institutions at HCC and, well, HCC, Hillsborough Community College, for those of you who don't know what that means. And then went on to the University of South Florida. And then now here I am at Valencia College. And I will say my journey has been an exciting one and a faith-filled one. Really just the foundation, of course, for me was my parents. Both have transitioned to what I like to call the kingdom, and both have passed away at this point, but they were my foundation. They were everything to me. And so they really taught me everything that I needed to know, I believe, before they transitioned to the kingdom, about walking in faith and moving in faith and being triumphant, through difficult times. It was very difficult when I lost my dad in 2010, very difficult when I lost my mom in 2017. But through God's faithfulness, he has really been faithful to me and to my siblings in helping us to carry us through and to be victorious in all things, despite the loss in our journey. And so, in addition to being the Dean of Students at Valencia College in 2021, January 2021, so I just celebrated 1 year, I established Edna Jones Miller Enterprises, which I do two things that are completely unrelated. So under Edna Jones Miller Enterprises, I am a copy editor, and I support new authors and small business owners and anyone with written content. I support through Edna Jones Miller Enterprises. And then I also have what's called Wealth and Wisdom, which is a personal development blog and life coaching service, which I also provide through Edna Jones Miller Enterprises. So I'm really excited about that. It's been a fascinating journey this last year as a small business owner. Who would have thought that that's something that I would have done? But I am certainly grateful for the opportunity. And that's a short little snippet of my background in both higher ed and my small business venture.
So tell us what it kind of inspired you. So I know faith-based, obviously, but did you just, as a teenager, say, I'm going to be the dean, or did you, aspire?
Did not, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, and the reason I became a dean, actually, let me just say, in higher education, I decided to pursue that as a field, was because I was really shy. I think I still am, and by nature I am an introvert. And so when I went to college, as I mentioned, I was 16 years old, and my courses started a week later. I think I had just turned 17 a week before my classes started. And so I was really introverted, and I had a really hard time trying to find my place. I went home every weekend because I had a really hard time trying to get socially connected. And then I started getting involved in clubs and organizations, and finally found my niche, and finally figured out where I could grow and where I could learn and where I could develop. And in my field, we call that co-curricular student development and co-curricular programming. And so that's where I decided to stay. And so I started my career as an advisor to clubs and organizations, and then leadership development. I've taught some courses. And to me, college is really the place where these are very significant formative years for students. And it's a place where you have the opportunity to really figure out what you want to do. And you have the support systems and mechanisms to help you to navigate through that process. And so I decided that that's what I wanted to do, that as I learned and as I grew and I grew through and found my niche, I wanted to do that and be that for other students. And so I just decided that higher education was my thing, and I've been doing it ever since. So that's what inspired me.
Oh, wow. That's so beautiful. And, I have to say that we are surrounded by, of course, Dr. Edna Jones Miller. Then we're surrounded by Dr. Arlene Adams, and we're surrounded by Dr. Bavon Debrea. And here we have Judge Joan Anthony. And, Judge Nix is actually logging on, but such phenomenal women. And the journey is not always easy, but to see the tenacity of you women, despite what was going on in your household, you just kept going and reaching higher and higher for the stars. And I must applaud you. Thank you so much, Dr. Edna. I think someone has a question.
evening, everyone. Good evening, viewers and listeners. Welcome once again. For Mrs. Miller, being a dean at Valencia, what do you find as some of your most challenge situation with students, as well as what are some of the most often situations that your students or the clients that come to your faces? So it's like
Sure.
double. Yes.
Sure. I think the biggest challenge that I've seen, particularly with the pandemic, is an increase in mental health challenges and stress that our students are really experiencing significant levels of stress, and they need the support, whether that's coming from a lack of finances, whether that's just coming from trying to balance their academic ventures and what's going on at home. And particularly, in the community college sector, most of our students are part-time. They may have families and things like that. So it's not the traditional four-year student, 18-year-old, student who's living in the residence hall kind of thing and just kind of have their financial aid package and they're good to go kind of thing. It's not that way typically in a community college sector. And so I think one of the biggest challenges, as I mentioned, is just this increase in struggle with mental health. But fortunately, I think that, we as professionals in higher education, we recognize that, and that we have really wrapped our arms around our students, and one, recognizing, acknowledging, and then providing wraparound services for our students, whether that be assistance with financial aid, whether that's assistance with counseling services, whatever it might be, mentorship, programs. So whatever the problem is, we have found some sort of wraparound service to be able to connect the student to be able to resolve those issues, or at least to help them to navigate through it, because ultimately the goal is to finish. If you come to Valencia College, we want you to finish. And so our goal is really to identify what those barriers are, and then to provide high levels of support for our students to be able to navigate through them.
Okay, thank you. A second part, you mentioned those wraparound programs, and Arlene and I also have degrees in, Dr. Adams and I, in higher education leadership. So when you said counseling, for example, were those counseling in place prior to the pandemic? I know a lot of times we have deans, we have guidance counselor, we have those individuals that are providing the counseling, but I'm looking at the aspect of mental health counseling. Were they there, or is that something new that that the school is putting in place to combat what we're dealing with, or it's done by the regular form of counseling?
Sure. It was already there. It was already a
Yes.
service that we provided to our students, which is
Yes.
one of the reasons why we're able to see such a significant increase in comparison to rates and usage before the pandemic. And so, we have in-house counselors who are not licensed mental health counselors,
Okay.
but they're more like coaches and guidance and academic support. And then we also work directly with a third-party organization called Daycare, where they are licensed mental health counselors, and we provide those services free to our students, certainly, because it's certainly a need.
Okay, awesome job. And I'm quite sure a lot of folks that are listening, that is something new and empowering. If you're looking towards the future, you kind of have that little background feedback, and you can say, well, Dr. Miller mentioned it, it's something that I can benefit from. And maybe as a student or new enrollee, I can come and make an appointment and see, some of the struggles that I'm facing. This is how I can help to minimize it as I am transitioning. Because like you said, it's a different group of individuals in this setting, in the community colleges. It's totally, totally different.
Absolutely.
And they're looking for that family support in that setting as well, because that's the transition, that's the bridge between home and becoming a man or a woman. That's what's going to break me or make me at this time.
Absolutely. And if I may say this one last thing, and I'm not just saying it because I work there, but Valencia College is an amazing institution. I think the level of care and concern that we express for our students and the lengths to which we go to support them is something that I have not really seen. And I know, many institutions do that, I think, but we really go above and beyond. And so Valencia College is an amazing institution for those of you who are listening, and we would love to see you register at Valencia College. So I'll say that a little bit.
Love it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Dr. Edna, will you again just give us your website for your personal?
Yeah, absolutely. So my website is ednajonesmiller.com, and that is for the editing side. I can be reached also at wealthandwisdomblog.com. So that is the personal development and coaching that I mentioned before. So again, that's ednajonesmiller.com for editing or anything. You may reach me there. Absolutely.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. Again, if you're just joining us, you just heard from Dr. Edna Jones Miller. Edna Jones Miller Enterprises. She's also the Dean of Students at the Valencia College downtown campus. We thank you so much for sharing time away from your family and friends. And please continue to join us if you are able to.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. We are going to move on. I see Judge MIKAELA NIX-WALKER made it on.
Welcome.
We're gonna jump to Judge Joan Anthony, and then we're gonna wrap up with Judge MIKAELA. So Judge Anthony is the 7th Judicial Circuit Court, serving Flagler, Putnam, St. John's, and Volusia counties. That's a lot of counties there. Judge Joan, actually, she was born in Jamaica, so her heritage is Jamaica, and she's been a resident, U.S. resident for many years. So welcome, Judge Joan Anthony. Tell us a little bit. I know we only have 15 minutes. It's not a lot to talk about, but what inspired you to be a judge, and a little snippet on your journey?
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm so glad. I appreciate the offer from President Donna Morgan, and on behalf of the Caribbean Diaspora, I thank you so much for this invite. It's a pleasure. I don't take this invite lightly or take it for granted. My journey, as you stated, started in Jamaica. I was born and raised in Jamaica. My dad came to the US and started cutting sugar cane, before I was even born. And so in 1971, my mom and myself came over and I joined my dad in the West Palm Beach area. I grew up in Belgrade. As a matter of fact, we call it the muck, because you want to plant some good stuff, you go to Belgrade and get that good dirt. So I graduated from Glade Central High, and of course, then I came to the great Bethune-Cookman College. It was college then. Graduated from Bethune-Cookman College and went on to Howard University School of Law in Washington, D.C. Graduated Saturday in 1981, and I left. I graduated 84, I left. Graduated Saturday, and I left Sunday because it was too cold and it was lack of parking. So I came back, and of course I moved to Daytona Beach. And while I studied for the bar exam, I worked at JCPenney as a clerk, took the bar exam, passed bar exam, of course. Prior to being a judge, I ran my own law office for over 30 years, where I practiced general practice, from criminal law to family law, probate matters. And after that, the Lord decided through my pastor prophesying one Sunday in Melbourne, Florida, it's time for you to become a judge. But the way it's going to happen, your daughter who is in law school is going to be sworn in, and then you are going to become a judge. And that's exactly how it happened. On November the 3rd of 2020, the citizens of Volusia, Flagler, Putnam, and St. Johns County showed up and showed out on November the 3rd, and we won all 4 counties overwhelmingly. So don't tell me what God will not do. Yeah. So here I am, become one of the first African-American female circuit judge. And the only other circuit judge we have is the Honorable Hubert Grimes, who I asked to join us. He's my mentor. So if you all see someone cheating on and say H. Grimes, I had to invite, the Honorable Hubert Grimes. He ran my campaign. So everywhere I went, Judge was joining me. He was the past interim president of Bethune-Cookman, and he also was a professor at FAMU Law School. So, I have a great mentor. So my journey, it's been great. Again, with God, all things are possible. My job is, as you stated, covers 4 counties, but right now I am stationed in St. Augustine, where I'm over the Unified Court, which covers family law, dependency, delinquency. With dependency is, involving children family services where one, child may be removed. And then delinquency is juvenile, where juveniles get in trouble. Or I have the Unified Court also, which carries family law, is dissolution cases, divorce cases, custody, child support. So it's a task, but I love it. It's nothing that I haven't done before in my practice. So God prepared me for this job, because most of the things that I handle right now, I did handle in my private practice. So, it's just awesome to take that experience to the bench and to always remember where and how I got to the bench.
That's amazing. So coming all the way from Jamaica,
Yep.
you come here, you become an attorney, even working at JCPenney, as you said.
Yes, as one of the best clerks at JCPenney, and I forgot to mention, as Dr. Miller said, my parents were the backbone. When I first lost my mom first, and that was very, very difficult, but at least they were both able to see me become an attorney. So, my dad, everywhere he went, he would make sure that everyone know my daughter is an attorney, so I can just imagine what my parents were doing in heaven on November the 3rd, when I became the first African-American female judge. I know heaven was rejoicing, because we were certainly rejoicing. So, I have to echo the same as Dr. Miller said, your parents set that standard for you that, you had to follow. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much. Dr. Bevan, did you have a question for Judge Anthony?
Okay. You mentioned about working in the 4 district, and right now you're in St. Augustine. The question is, are you just staying in St. Augustine, or if there's a demand, you are traveling? How does that work?
Right now I am in St. Johns County, and since the chief judge has now made it public that, basically a lot of people know now that when I was put in St. Johns County, the chief judge then was Judge Zambrana. And I remember the day he made the call, and he felt bad because, I still reside in Volusia County. So I drive every day, which is, again, it's hard work, dedication, and God has a way of preparing you, because when Judge Zambrana made the call, I was like, oh no. And then I got out, he said, I hate to tell you this, but I have nowhere else to put you. And I got off the phone, and then I said, wait a minute, Joan, you said, God, wherever you want me to go, that's where I would go. So long story short, that is where I've been. But come January of 2023, I'll be back here in Volusia County, because one of our judges will be retiring. So see, that door opens for me. So for 2 years, I would have traveled to St. Johns County. But again, it prepared me, and I'll come back this way, and then I'll be doing probate. So, again, probate is something that I did, which is, probate if someone passed, you have to do what's called the administration of a will or without a will. So I will be coming back to Volusia County in 2023 in January.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
That kind of leads into the next question.
Okay.
In terms of the law that you do, is it your passion? The family law was always your thing. I know we have another judge sitting there. She's on the total opposite end of you. So was that always your passion to do family law?
Actually, to be honest with you, my passion was I was saying, and again, I'm not tooting because you all see Judge Rhymes on here. Honestly, I used to go in front of Judge Rhymes with juvenile cases, and I said, I want to be a juvenile judge. But so my passion would be to steer young people. But guess what? I'm doing it all, not just juvenile, but family. And family law, like I said, it was 2 weeks ago, I said to someone, in order to be a family law judge, I think the requirement should be that you must have patience and you should have children, because you will understand what goes on in
Amen.
family court. So it is, I would say, yes, family law is a passion, because I can, sympathetic with some people what they go through when it comes to family law, but more so juveniles, they come to court and I tell them, hey, it's not the words that hurt, is how you react to the words that hurt. So I am still from the bench changing lives for the better.
Oh, awesome, awesome. And we do need some level-headed soldiers like you out there fighting for our families. So that is definitely awesome. We truly appreciate the work that you do.
Yeah.
And we definitely appreciate you responding back so quickly to us. For actually for everyone, for Dr. Edna Jones, Judge Joan, and Judge Nix, you ladies, us, it's like the Lord just said, say yes, and they just said yes, and they worked us around the schedule, and that just shows your heart for service.
Right.
Yes.
Yep.
We do
Absolutely.
salute you. I think Dr. Arlene Adams, did you have a question?
Well, I just want to applaud our phenomenal women. Let me go first to Dr. Edna Jones Miller, young, beautiful, talented, bold, fierce. It's not a negative fierce, but here I come. I'm a trailblazer. So I just want to applaud you for what you do, your passion, and for working with young people. And I applaud Valencia College for the extent of the services that are provided to young people. And knowing with this pandemic, stressors were always there, anxiety disorders, maybe not disorder, but just young people who are, beset by so much anxiety that it cripples their thinking and their progress in school. And then to respond with the outcome of this pandemic, as you were speaking, she said, acknowledge, respond, and provide. So I said, ARP, yay, ARP. And then Judge Joan Anthony, our sister, daughter, Zion, both of you all of you, that God has placed you in on a path to take care of his children. We are his hands and feet. And the way that your parents have, set the stage for you, and you follow the path. And like the scripture said, the step of, I'm going to say, a good woman is ordered by the Lord. And just listening to you about your journey and how the Lord has opened the opportunities for you to be at different places so that you could be placed where he wants you to be. And so you don't have to be stressed about it. I have those experiences. And why I'm very happy and proud of all my sisters, that you are placed in these positions where we as a people, minorities, we're beset by so many challenges and barriers, and you are there for them, especially within the court system. And we know what happened. We see on the street a little bit that we see brought before our eyes. So I'm so delighted, excited, and applauding you for that work, because there are not many representation, for our people. And we know where they end up. And I know with you, inspired by God, you're going to do what is right in the sight of God for our people. So I applaud you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Arlene, for your comments. Dr. Bev?
She's muted.
Muted.
A granddaughter trying to talk over me. Good evening. Just moving straight along into such an awesome program. And this evening we have our new friend who taught us when we met her, Miss Donna, to look for new friends as well, hire friends, not always be on the top of your circle. So I am going to take this authority of calling her my new friend. And we introduce you to Dr. Nikita NIX-WALKER. And she is, and she's serving here in the Osceola County District. Yes.
I think you called her Judge.
Oh, Judge.
We
Don't
were
worry, we have a baby.
I'm gonna blame Arlene. Arlene got me confused.
with all the judges, all the doctors that we have on the panel. That's why you just thought of that.
I still want to steal one more.
Yes,
All right. So good evening and thanks for joining us. And I know you put our little buddy on the side today again for us. So we truly appreciate that.
Definitely. Well, in the sector of when I taught at Valencia for college success in Seminole State, they did call me Dr. Nix. Me and Judge Anthony, we do have doctorate degrees. So we were going to the education field. They would definitely say doctor. So when I'm in a different sector, it's a different name. So either way it goes, we're accommodated in all those angles. And it's good to see you again. I'm super excited to see you as well, and definitely my new friend. So I'm just very excited to be here. When you told me about the opportunity, I jumped right on it. So President Morgan, it's not just you who are excited about the Caribbean diaspora, it's all of us here today. And it's because of you and things of these events that we get a chance to really reach out into the community. So I'm very excited to be here. But more importantly, I'm very excited what you guys are doing for the Women's History Month and above and beyond in the area of women success. So thank you for having me today.
Yes, thank you so much, Judge Nix. And I should say that you are serving 2021 Circuit Judge for Osceola County, which is the complete other side of town. Osceola County Criminal, which is the 9th Judicial Circuit Court. So Judge Joan Anthony was in the 7th Judicial, and you were in the 9th in Osceola County. So tell us a little bit about your journey and how did you, as a little girl, did you see yourself? How close did you see yourself in this role?
Definitely. So the 9th Circuit encompasses Orange and Osceola County, and as Judge Anthony discussed, and when you're a judge, they decide where you go, and you just basically your chief judge puts you either in your 9th Circuit or in the in my circuit it's 9th, which encompasses Orlando, and then Osceola, which encompasses Kissimmee, and then wherever the chief judge decides that you go that year, or 2 years or 3 years, that's where you are. And so the chief judge put me in Osceola County, which I absolutely love. I'm just very excited to be there. So my journey is a little different. As a young professional, I went to Miami. I grew up, my family has been here since 1887 in a small little town called Rochelle, Florida. Rednecks come in all colors. And my dad does, I was very fortunate to grow in a 2-parent home. My parents have been married for 43 years. So I've gotten a benefit of a country girl raised in the city. So I ride horses. We have a lot of cows and pastures. We have about 87 acres out there. And so I got a chance to see a very rural lifestyle, but I've also got a chance to see the city. I went to New World School of the Arts. Many people thought I was going to be in the art field as I played the piano and the clarinet for many years. But I kind of got enamored. I've always had the gift of gab. I'm pretty much able to talk to lots of different peoples in different socioeconomic areas. And I've always been able to do that. I think God blessed me with that gift. Community service is pretty much in my DNA. My parents were the parents that we've been in a church 137 years old. So in 1887, when my forebears were freed, the very first thing they did was erect a church. And that's the church where I got married in. That's the church where my son was baptized. And I'm pregnant now. So that's a church where my new little baby will be also baptized as well. So the spirit of Christianity, the spirit of community service is just in my DNA. And so it's always been that. I'm an entrepreneur at heart. So I didn't really do a traditional route. I used my JD or my Juris Doctorate in a lot of different efforts. So when I first came out of school, I opened up a staffing agency and I worked with Valencia Community College at the time, now Valencia College. So I was going to say it's a great place. And I taught a class called Student Success there for multiple years. And I worked alongside the career department, making sure that people were actually getting what I found were students were graduating, but they weren't graduating in their own degree. So they would have a psychology degree, but they would work at Chili's and they were not using their actual degree. So I worked really hard on that. And then I've always been an entrepreneur. I opened up my own practice. I worked in the area of family law. I had a little different niche than most. I worked with a lot of men to make sure that they were getting reasonable and meaningful contact with their children. And so I did a family rights firm in that area, and I did that for about nine or so years. And just being in the community in so many different avenues, I found that there was a need. So in my circuit, just very similar to Judge Anthony's circuit, there was one judge who is the former Chief Judge Belvin Perry, and he was the only African-American who ever was elected into the office. And that was in 1991. And I'm just very ambitious. And so as a young lady, I've been in very many sectors. And I said, why is that? Why are we not represented? And so especially in a millennial age group, I felt like a lot of people who were older than me were setting the tone and they were just doing it in such different time periods where it was even harder at that point to make it, and they did it. And so I was thinking to myself, gosh, my generation's kind of slacking over here. We need to kind of catch up. And so I decided that with some course of God, some fasting with my husband and my family, I have a very, very good support system that I could do this. I had a lot of backing in the community, and I think that's very big. I had already been involved in multiple areas, from elderly to speaking at the Juvenile Justice Detention Center to Orange County Charter Review Commission. So I was always all around. I was always very busy. And so I decided that a couple people asked me, and I was like, no, not me, let somebody else, and then God literally told me, if not you, then who? And I said, you know what, I can do it. And when God has something for you, I'm not going to be preachy over here, but if God has something for you, it just all lines up. It doesn't matter about the money. It doesn't matter about the naysayers. It doesn't matter about who says you can't or who says you're not, or, oh, you're so young, you're only 35. None of that matters. It just always goes into line. And he basically told me, if you listen to me and you fast with me, we'll get you there. And he did. Literally, I did a magnificent campaign. I beat my competitor out at over about 10%. And I became one of the first African-American women to be elected in my circuit. 2020 was an amazing year, like just an amazing year for African-American women in so many different areas, especially in the judicial branch. So in the state of Florida, at least in my little Central Florida community, I can say at least four at least African-American women were the very first elected into their circuits, including my colleague here, Miss Anthony, Judge Anthony. So was just a magnificent time. And it was a magnificent time for me to let young people know that you can do it. We are Black history. We don't have to go to Harriet Tubman all the time, or, go all the way back and show young people that what Black history really looks like. Black history is happening every single day. And so I was very excited to do that. I was very excited to represent my community. I was very excited to have some representation that was on the bench. And I was very excited to see young people accomplishing those tasks as well. And so that's really my journey. Community service has always been something that I love and something that is my passion. And I found out that the community, if you support them, they will support you. And like Judge Anthony said, they showed up and showed out for me. And I was very, very humble and very, very appreciative.
Thank you so much, man. And so I know Dr. Bavon has a question, but how do you balance now your time? Because now you're a judge and you've got wife, mother,
Baby on the way.
a baby on the way.
I just think that I was kind of one sticky at a time. I know Miss Dr. Bevan has kind of heard my spiel on that. And I won't really go into that a lot, but I just try to do my best at accomplishing small tasks. And it's really about your support system. Like, you can't do it all. And if you think you can do it all, especially as African-American women, we are like strong, we're soldiers. And sometimes we just can't do it all. So making sure that you have that support system, no matter what it looks like, big or small. And I have a really, really great support system. And so I try to use that support system, but more importantly, I try to stay organized. I do think it helps to have owned my own business prior to. So as an entrepreneur, you kind of like eat what you kill. And so I've been used to having that for the last 10 years anyway. I've been used to having multiple facets that I run inside of a business. And so if you want something, you do it. If you want it, you'll find a way, you'll make a way, you'll do it, right? You can't start a car without gas. I mean, Dr. Bevan has heard this as well. So in order to get somewhere, you got to have gas, and the car will remind you by not cranking up, right? If you don't have that gas in it. So it's just, you do things that you would like to do. You make time for things that you want to happen. And so I guess that's how I do it. I mean, that's how we all do it.
Yes.
We are amazing. We're just amazing people and creatures. And we've always done it all. We've always been the home takers, the caregivers. We've always done it. And so I think it's some of that is just in my DNA as an African-American woman, and others is just me wanting it and being vigilant at getting it. And man, I serve, if he could do anything, it's not me. I mean, I know he made me win my election for a couple of reasons. One, he wanted to let everyone know that it wasn't me. So every single time that I talk about it, I try to make sure that I give him all of the respect and all of the encouragement, because it wasn't me. It was me because I asked him for it, but God wants to see how bad you really want it too. You can pray and ask, but he wants to see you follow up. He wants to see that you really want it, and that's something that you're going to do. And so I was just very excited that my offerings were pleasant in his eyes, and he allowed me to gain the knowledge, and more importantly, having everything kind of line up. So answer your question, I don't know how I do it all sometimes, but I do know that God knows, and he does it all for me. And I can say that I'm very strategic with accomplishing goals and tasks. I have sticky note wall. And I won't go into that, but I write my sticky notes down, I take them off the wall. I'm very visual about accomplishing tasks. And so when I accomplish something, I make sure, no matter how big or small, I make sure to acknowledge that accomplishment. And so that's kind of what I do, one sticky at a time.
I think that's what we were gonna ask the other ladies too, is because you all had a strategy, and we all know that God played a part in it. But some physical, like, I think Judge MIKAELA, you said you fasted. So you did a combination. You've done, I've heard your sticky stories, which I love.
Thank you.
Your sticky note story. So, and before we'll ask, actually, Dr. Edna and Judge JOAN, did you guys implement something? Because I know there were some times that you were like, no, and you had to reboot. So I'll ask that after Dr. Bavon. I think you had a question, Bev?
The question was, she didn't give us any of the juicy gossip as to.
We only had a short period of time.
I know, I put Judge Anthony on the platform and said, family, was that your passion? So the criminal side, is that yours? Wanting to help in that area?
Well, as a judge, you kind of, they put you where you are. And so I do find it very fascinating. So my job is very action-packed every day. I am in circuit felony, so I get murders and the rapists and the sexual batteries and the hardest of the harshest punishment to come into my courtroom. But what I do tell them all is, one, that I treat everybody with respect. Just because that's something that happened to you doesn't mean it defines you. And I tell them that all the time. This is just something that happened. People have mistakes. Mistakes happen in people's lives. And so I am not one to sit in judgment. I am one to do my job and be respectful in that regard. And so I think it's helpful to come in, as I am the only African-American circuit criminal judge in Osceola. And so they get to see someone that looks like them. And I talked a lot about that in my campaign. It's good to say it, but if someone doesn't see someone that looks like them, it's very difficult for them to believe in those accomplishments. It's very difficult for them to think that they can do it if they never see it, if they never see that person. So having someone that looks like you in the area in your field really is, it really inspires people, and it really helps. So in that division, the criminal division, I've done a couple criminal cases, but my background was really in family. I've learned a lot. I've learned not to take it home with me. So God's blessed me with that. I'm able to really separate them out. And I hear some pretty bad stuff every day, and I see some pretty bad stuff every day. But I'm able to separate that. But most important though, I'm able to get in front of a big group of people that normally would not see anyone who looks like them. As in the Ninth Circuit, we have maybe less than 10% of the judges being African-American in nature, and we only have literally 2 African-American males out of the 66. So we're talking about a very, very small group. And so I think it helps when you see somebody that looks like you. I will tell you now that my passion has changed. It was really a lot about advocacy for children and juveniles, and my passion really now is about jury duty. Wherever I go, I do my little spiel on jury duty. We talk a lot, Black and brown people, about civil rights and, making sure that we have these accommodations and these laws, and that is super important. But more importantly is coming out to jury duty. We avoid it like a plague. I am literally in trials where I don't see anybody sometimes that represent the defendant. And there's more African-American defendants in Osceola County and Black and brown people. And then I look around to try to find a jury that they pick of their peers. And out of 80 people, I may have 2. And then out of those 2, they may not get selected. And so I don't think I've had maybe one African-American person on a jury. And I've had quite a few trials. And so my real big push is, I know that it could be not the best thing that people want to do. And, I know it's time consuming, but that's something that you can do right off the bat, right there, make an impact right there in someone's life by being a fact finder in a case. It doesn't take a legal scholar. It doesn't take a Florida statute to change. It doesn't take marching. It literally is just showing up for your jury duty. If I could just get 10% of African Americans or people of color to come out, a few of you, it would make a huge difference. The defendants are sitting there and they're looking around for the juries of their peers, and they see no one that looks like them and deciding their fate. And I know lots of people get these mandates or these subpoenas to come, and then I'm sick, I can't do it, I've worked. But it's so important that if you do get called to jury duty, that you do your civic duty to come out, because trust me, other different types of people, they come out and they're there. And so it would be great to have people that also look like them, as when the defendants are there in the Black and brown community. It's very helpful. And so if I could just do my little passion now, I guess, and that's really jury duty.
And President Morgan and Dr. Vibez, I have to piggyback off of what Judge Walker said. The thing about it is that I know, as prior experience walking into a courtroom as a defense attorney, and when I used to see Judge Grimes or Judge Don Fields, as judges sitting on the bench, trust me, it makes you feel a whole lot better. I'm not kidding. To just see, an African-American judge sitting in the courtroom, it does make you feel different. Your clients feel different. And, as Judge Nick said, juries, it says, to be tried by your jury, by your peers. Seldom will you see an African-American sitting in the jury box, and it's going to be an African American that is on trial. Unfortunately, like right now, Judge Alicia Washington and I are the only two African American judges, circuit or county. We have no county African American judges. We're the only two judges, and there are 47 judges in the 7th Judicial Circuit, and we are the lonely ones. Two. Right now we have Regina Nunley, whose name is going up to the governor, you know, to be chosen out of 6. So we got to keep her in prayer. You know, it's always who you know. So if anybody know, the governor sent a letter, do it as Regina Nunley. But, you know, it is very important for our, you know, accept that jury, you know, they send it to you. Don't ignore it, or like she said, call and say, I'm sick. It is very, very important. We can't say what they're not giving us if we're not taking advantage of it, you know. So like, you know, like Judge Nix, she's young and stepped out on faith. We're going to need, you know, others to step out to say, you know, if they can do it, then I can do it. But, you know, you can't just say we have none if we're not going to run, you know, for the seat. So we have to look for those challenges. So, you know, Judge Nix, I echoed the same as you said about jury, but, you know, we're setting the stage, and we're hoping that others will look at us and say, you know, hey, as she said, they can do it, I can do it.
That's right.
Yes, I love it. And you know, you're so true with the jury duty. We are always running away from that. I know I personally, like, oh my God. And you sometimes pray for the court to get canceled, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because so it must be, and we're, you know, it must be that we don't think we can get off work, or we're not going to get paid for it, or something. You know, what is it? That's a very good awareness that we've really overlooked.
Yep, we do. We look at other things, but like she said, jury duty, we do not take seriously. We go out and say we implore people to go and register to vote. I mean,
Yes.
by now, the jury, they're now being selected by your driver's license. You know, I think that's how you go. So
Yes.
it's there. Why are we not, you know, and we can't say, we go to the courthouse and say, well, oh my God, there's no African American. Trust me, they get the call to come to do jury. Yes.
They do. So
You know,
and that's something that we can do surface level. Like, and I that's not a march. That's not a call your senators. That's not, that's nothing. That is something that you individuals can do right now. Like, that's not a change that we can make. That's not something we have to like say, oh, we need. That's something that our parent, like they like, literally people died to get a chance to vote and to have jurors. I always tell people all the time, last year was 100 years of women voting, but not for African Americans, Black and brown people. We didn't get the chance to start voting for women until 55 years ago. So you have an opportunity,
right?
You can get paid for, there's so many different options. I can go on, I can do a whole show about jury duty and the what's it called, the do's and don'ts, or the myths, there you go, of jury duty, just to make people feel better about, like, am I going to get paid, or how does that work, and I'm going to lose my job? Like, I can do a whole thing on that. It's just sometimes, even if you're not picked, having the defendant, like Judge Anthony said, seeing you there makes them just feel so much better. Sometimes it's not about the outcome, it's about the process. It's about how do you believe that you were represented? Do you believe, I mean, I call balls and strikes all the time, but the person perceives it to be fair. And so that sometimes that perception is super important. So jury duty, guys, is something that is, put it on your blast it around. That's not something that you have to do. You don't even have to be a registered voter. You don't have to be a registered voter at all. Nope. Nothing to do with voting. Nothing to do with politics. Literally, just come. Like, so it's your driver's license. You got a driver's license? You go.
So Dr. Miller, there you go. You have it. You take it back to the college students.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. 18, you can be, I have a lot actually, to be fair. The young people do, they do come out because I think they're a little nervous that they haven't figured it out yet.
Right.
That they won't necessarily, you know, that they won't go to jail or things like that. You know, we're not, even though the subpoena does say that. So they don't know. So I do get quite a bit of young people in there. But like I said before, I've done jury trials and I think I've had one African-American sit on the panel recently. And as far as the selection process, if I have 80 people that I've selected for 2 panels, I probably will have out of there maybe 2. And so, but the defendants are I haven't mostly Black and brown. And so you got Black and brown, and then they're looking out and they see no one that looks like them at all. And thankfully they now have a judge, that is in there and they do look like them. But I'm only 1 out of 3, right? So you're rolling the dice. You may get me, you may not. You may have another a criminal judge. And out of Orange and Osceola County, we have 1 county. Judge Sanders is now on criminal, and there's me. I think we have maybe 3 total out of your 16 criminal judges. So the odds that you're going to get someone that's African American is very, very low. And as Judge Anthony stated, in our circuit, we have maybe 8 out of 66 total, and that's county. And we don't have a lot of African Americans. If you really want to know some statistics, we're like 6.5% in the state of Florida. There's an article written on in the Orlando Sentinel, and we are just low. The Hispanic population, I think they have like 11.5. And then the rest is just, it's Caucasians. And so you're dealing with over 85%. 86% of the people that you're going to be in front of. So it really matters. We want just not to beat a dead horse here, but it's really important for that jury duty. It's really nothing. It's no political, nothing, just your driver's license and you're in. So
ladies, what I'm hearing here is that folks are not having the right mindset, and you ladies touch upon it, judges, when you compared it to voting, because I was just sitting here right before Judge Anthony picked up and used the word voting, and I said, is the right mindset, because our people are saying it doesn't matter, it doesn't change the outcome, so why do it? You know, it's not important. Please. So it's having that right mindset, because remember, back in voting, we had that same play until we had to change that. We had to get the young people involved, and you're urging to that same population that took that stand with voting. We need to have that same role play when it comes to going out and serving, because you have your brothers and your sisters. You feel unfair or they cheated when they didn't get what you expected or the outcome didn't favor them, but you're not part of the process. How can you be part of the solution if you're just sitting back and not helping?
Yes. Well, we're going to do our part on Caribbean American Diaspora. We're going to be sharing, sharing the news that, and again, shifting that perspective, because we see plenty of posts on Facebook going, oh my God, look what I just got. That sentence, and you were already plotting and praying to God to get you out of it, right? And here was your chance. Really, we have to look at, here was your chance to give back and of service. So thank you, judges, for bringing, some light to that and for shifting the way we been looking. And so we're gonna put something up and share it out there, because we have a civic aspect that we want to share with the community also. This was amazing. Oh wait, really, really, really quick. So I know Judge Walker, she had mentioned her sticky notes got her through fasting and prayer. Judge Anthony, what was what got you through those tough times?
What got me through those times was good, hardworking volunteers that would say to me, Okay, you go home, literally. So I thank God for good. And when I say volunteers, they were volunteers. They were not getting paid. I know my campaign managers always said, we have to pay. I said, no, they're my friends. They're not getting paid. And it really, really worked. The volunteers, and of course, my son, was here. My daughter, of course, practiced in Georgia, so she couldn't do much, but she was praying, and calling her friends from here. So it helped to have those, volunteers. And as Judge Nick said, I do not bring that work home with me now. I leave it right there in St. Johns County. But guess what? There are certain cases that I definitely pray for. So, to have someone, to lean on, God gives you, bodies here. We can always call on him, but, he provide people in your path to help you. And that really, really helped me during, the campaign. And even now, I only have my son, so I just drive home. I go to the gym. Judge Nix and I went through Judicial College, and they tell us we have to take care of ourselves also. So not just work, we take care of our bodies, like, exercise, do whatever we need to do besides just work. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that tip. Dr. Edna Jones?
Well, I think for me, I guess you can put a tally mark next to Judge NIX-WALKER's prayer and fasting. So I do that too. But I think having a really strong support system, I think someone else might have said that, but my family is everything. And let me just say something about my husband. This man, I don't even know what to say, but that man, so we have 2 children, and he is extremely supportive. I mean, because it's really just the 2 of us here in Orlando. And so just his support in navigating through schedules, and he's an administrator in his own right. So he's an administrator in K through 12, and just pushing his wife forward and saying, go do it. Encouraging me to do things, to try things, to excel in things, and just providing that level of support to say, if that's what you want to do, I got the girls. I'll take care of X, Y, and Z. And, we are 100%, both of us in 100%. It's not 50-50. We don't do that 50-50 thing. We do 100 and 100. And so whatever my dreams are, whatever my desires are, whatever it is that I want to do, God has really just blessed me with a really significantly strong support system, especially my husband. So that's how I do it. I got a good man, y'all. Let me just say, I got a good man.
I love it. Yeah, it reminds me of my husband. Very supportive. Yeah, it's definitely a blessing. We're gonna wrap up. I know, Dr. Bevan, if you have any last words.
Dr. Adams, would you like to share anything? Any last words?
Oh, the last word that I want to share, I'm so, floating right now to be in the presence of these phenomenal women, and just want to applaud our young sister who is, along with our other judge, just doing a phenomenal job. And when I see young people, the Bible said the Lord is going to pour out his spirit on the last day, and I see it being poured out right before our eyes. She reminded us, don't be looking in the annals of history trying to find trailblazers. They are blazing the trail. To God be the glory. And you know what? They're just not tooting their horns. They're standing on the word of God and say, God, the God in me, and helping me to do this work. It is so phenomenal. Usually you don't hear that. And I just want to say, speaking of the representation, working in, being a college professor for many years, and we will select, go through the names of over 600 students, and you select 100, and how many of them are minorities. So when they come and see this dark chocolate girl, they're so happy because they can come to you and, have the confidence that you understand some part of their journey and can reach out to them. So I applaud you. And then one of the pearls that you spoke about doing our civic duty. Yes, when we get that jury duty thing in the mail, it's frightening, but as you spoke about it, I said, I'm going to stand with you and I'm going to be a promoter of this, because just as we have to represent in the different, in the educational setting, in the healthcare settings, we have to represent when those poor, they've done wrong, but they look around, no one look like them. I can't imagine what's going on in their heart, but when they look and see, oh, a Black judge, she understands a little bit where I'm coming from. Is there anybody else in the room who will stand up for me? I'm going to be one of those women. So thank you so much for, and the Balancing Sticky Note Act, that's what Dr. Adams do to help her go by. So thank you for, you know,
Right.
yes.
Thank you, Dr. Adams. And I know we have a guest who's just here supporting Judge Anthony. Would you like to give any word of wisdom, any last minute to our audience? We have a huge audience, and even though today might be 60 or 70, when I check tomorrow, it's 280, and it just keep counting. So,
Yes.
you know, the blessings just keep coming. Would you like to add anything, Judge Grimes?
No,
Sorry, Judge.
I'm just enjoying listening and watching and celebrating the work of these great sisters, and just be encouraged and continue to keep up all the great work.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have Sybil Henry who's on, but I think she was she's,
Driving.
yeah, she was driving. So
I'm here, Donna.
oh, okay.
Okay.
Last word, Sybil.
I just wanted to identify with what earlier I just heard. Judge Nix said something about the jury duty, and I have never heard anyone spoken with such passion about it. I had nothing to do with that, honestly. I always think of it as, oh man, not another one of those. But
Right.
after listening to Judge Nix today and seeing the passion that she puts after that message, I too will stand with her to spread that message. And I too will stand when that message comes through, when that letter comes, I will never again. Because now just hearing it from a different standpoint, it has really, 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 you know, done something different to me, and I will do better. Thank you.
And that is what it's about. That's what we're here for, to support each other, to hold each other, to guide each other, and to know that someone else is in your corner. Someone else looks like you, or someone else been down that road. Okay, we didn't get here by looking pretty. We got here by struggling, by working, and the support system, the folks that held us accountable first. Okay, we were accountable first to us, whether it was our kids or whatever that nature were, your parents. We had some form of accountability that kept us strong. And Brother Lou, I thank you for joining us. I don't know, I know you're probably working, but just thanks for being a regular follower. We have another mail there. We just thanks for your support. And we're gonna say, have a blessed, wonderful evening. Listen to we have it streaming now on YouTube, so you can always go back, share it with friends. It was a little bit more complicated sharing the Facebook if you weren't on Facebook. So we kind of had to branch out to thank Donna Martin for that wonderful technical support that she provides for us on a daily basis, not even weekly. It's a lot of work behind the scene that has to be done, holding us up together, and just amazing. And maybe next week we're planning on continuing the Trailblazer. We do have some other judges. I know Judge Walker mentioned some of the other ladies, and we are in contact with those other two females in the Orange Osceola district. I know one of them is out on spring break with her family and couldn't make it. So we're just hoping that maybe we can continue this powerful conversation and enlightening our listeners and our viewers as we continue to set our own trend. And I always say to friends and families, stop blaming others for what you're not doing. You need to be accountable for your own actions. And I am hoping that everyone out there would take some kind of stand today for your own accountability. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Again, if you were viewing Caribbean Diaspora Vibes, where we bring you a little bit of business, community, culture, health and wellness with a little Caribbean twist. So we hope that you enjoy the show. It's saved and you can go back after the hot dates and all that stuff, the parties and all that kind of stuff. But outside is open again. So I see lots of Caribbean festivals and jazz festivals and all this thing going on. So we wish you all peace, love, everyone be safe. And until next time, enough love and blessings for Caribbean American Diaspora and the team. Big up Sybil. Sybil is our St. Lucia Diaspora liaison. And of course, you know, Dr. Bavon Debrio is representing See Her Flag, Antigua and Barbuda. Dr. Arlene, you know, Jamaica. Myself, Jamaica. So we have a mix up of individuals that represent the diaspora. So if you want to come on and join us, be a part of the team, be a part of the education, whether it's civic, health and wellness, please, you know, message us. So until next time, be blessed and have a great weekend.
And I'll be praying for our judges and our.
Please do.
Yes.
Thank you, ladies.
You're on my list.
Thank you.
All of you.
I hope next time I see you guys, I'll have a little baby.
Yes.